Part 137. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1361. No one knows the horror of the blood moon power better than her. In the spirit world, this is the strongest source of power. Even if it is only half a level higher than the spiritual power, the effect of exerting it is extremely amazing. This is also the reason why she went through so much hardship and kept a low profile for thousands of years, and wanted to seize the Blood Moon Fairy weapon. But now, the Blood Moon Fairy weapon has not been obtained, but the Blood Moon formation is controlled by Zuyun. In this way, the Blood Moon power that she is proud of can no longer cause any harm to Zuyun, so how can she seize the Blood Moon Fairy weapon? After so many losses at the hands of Zuyun, she didn't expect to be fooled by him again. Hate it? Zuyun, you deserve to die. Seeing that he was defeated, Lin Yu roared with resentment, and finally fled in a hurry. Not to mention that he couldn't deal with Zuyun if he stayed, he was more likely to be killed by Zuyun here. Zuyun didn't chase him. Because the Blood Moon formation cannot be moved, he can only watch him leave. It has to be said that Lin Yu made the most correct decision. But in this case, Zuyun's desire to refine the Blood Moon immortal weapon would not work. If Lin Yu was hiding in the dark and waiting for an opportunity, the consequences would be disastrous. For now, we can only wait for the news from the Demon Refining Tower. Zuyun sighed. If Wan Potion, Zhu Feng, and Zhou Pao could all come out, everything would become simple. With them as guardians, even if Lin Yu came again, she couldn't control the power of the Blood Moon, and she couldn't make any waves at all. And Zuyun couldn't enter the Demon Refining Tower, lest Lin Yu return again. At this time, in the Demon Refining Tower, Red Boy Fairy and Wan Potion finally reached the 8th floor. Fellow Daoist Wan, if we go down, it will be the last floor. I don't know what kind of changes will happen. Thinking of the Dozwan Xinyi formation that she encountered at that time, Red Boy Fairy also hesitated. You know, Zuyun was so powerful in this formation that he actually used the top-grade spirit stone to trick them around. I don't know if this formation is still here. Wan Potion pondered for a moment and said, why don't we hide first and wait for Xianxia to come with the other 3 Tribulation Stage Masters? His original intention was to kill Xianxia and the 3 Tribulation Stage Masters. But with 2 against 3, plus a Xianxia who he couldn't even figure out the key to, Wan Potion didn't dare to rush to meet them. The 9th floor was like a dead end. After entering, there was no other possibility except a fight to the death. Fellow Daoist Wan, if you can contain the 3 Tribulation Stage Masters, I can kill Xianxia directly. After all, she is only in the void refining stage. Thinking of how she was extremely humble in front of Xianxia in order to survive, the Red Boy Fairy was full of anger. This is humiliation. 3 Tribulation Stage Masters, I can try, but I can't last long. Wan Potion touched the Chaos Sword and said lightly. Don't worry, Wan Daiyu, I only need a breath to deal with Xianxia. I can burn her to ashes directly in the refining void stage. Red Boy Fairy was very disdainful of Xianxia. She was indeed afraid of the 3 Tribulation Stage. Thinking back then, the other party directly injured the companion of the Red Cloud Fairy, the spiritual master swordsman, with one move. It can be seen how strong they are. When Xianxia is killed, the 3 Tribulation Stages will surely be at a loss. Then, if you and I join forces, the possibility of 2 against 3 will be greatly increased. Red Boy Fairy said this, but in fact she was thinking that no matter what, she would not lose. If someone chased her at that time, she would just run away. If one person chased her, she dared to fight him. If 2 people chased her, Wan Potion was a sword cultivator, and it would not be difficult to kill a tribulation stage. The odds of winning are on their side. Very good, let's do it. Wan Potion sneered in his heart, and then walked to the light gate on the second floor, saying, "You and I will stay here, no matter who comes in first, we will attack together. Whether it is Xianxia or the one in the tribulation period, we will try to kill him with one strike. Then, we will act separately." Wan Potion stood behind the light gate and restrained his breath. In an instant, Xianxia showed a look of surprise. Wan Potion did not show any spiritual power. This sword cultivator is a bit strong, and he has cultivated to the realm of returning to nature, which is really terrifying. I wanted to have a chance to calculate Wan Potion, but the red boy fairy gave up the idea at this moment. Little did she know that Wan Potion's spiritual roots were completely destroyed, and it was impossible for him to have spiritual power. Wan Potion was on the left behind the light gate, and the red boy fairy was on the right behind. Both of them were ready, just waiting for someone to show up. Finally, the light gate suddenly had spiritual power flowing, which was a sign that someone had appeared. The two of them looked dignified, and they all perked up. I saw the outline of a figure appear in the light gate. Judging from the style of clothing, it was a man. Do it? No matter if he was Xianxia or not, as long as they killed a person in the tribulation stage, their strength would be weakened. Wan Potion shouted, and the chaos sword flashed with a red light and stabbed straight out. At the same time, the red boy fairy also released a big move, and a dark red flame suddenly burst out from her palm. Attack from both sides. As soon as the figure of the tribulation stage appeared, he felt the murderous intent coming all over the sky. It was too late to teleport, so he could only desperately use all his spiritual power to protect his body and try to hold on. Boom! The flames of the red boy fairy instantly engulfed him completely. But for a while, it was impossible to break through the shield composed of chaos force. Just when he was about to go back and warn the others, an inconspicuous gray-white sword easily passed through the shield and then passed through the chest. Chaos sword. This is a fairy sword, and the power of chaos in this tribulation period is not even as good as Zhu Yun's. How can it withstand it? He looked down at the tip of the sword with disbelief on his face. The protective shield around him collapsed, and the flames of the red girl fairy burned his body. When the body dies, the Tao disappears. Back off. Wan Potion's eyes narrowed. At this time, they all attacked with all their strength. Although it was fast, someone else was about to appear in the light gate. If they wanted to attack again, they would not be as quick as them to attack first. If you force a move, not only will it be ineffective, but you will also be injured by the opponent. The red girl fairy immediately retreated to one side, and Wan Potion also retreated in the opposite direction according to the previous agreement. After taking several steps back, he has fully recovered and can attack again. But this time, two people in the tribulation stage appeared. The two of them felt the surge of spiritual power in the air, mixed with an inexplicable aura. This is naturally Wan Potion's sword energy using the power of the blood moon. In the demon refining tower, there is still the power of the blood moon. Zhu Fen used the devouring demon technique to transfer part of it to the demon refining tower. Red boy fairy, how dare you betray me? Another figure emerged from the light door, and Wan Potion also looked towards Xianxia. Humph, Xianxia, either you will die today or I will live. The red girl fairy and Wan Potion killed one person together. At this time, their confidence increased greatly, and they slapped Xianxia with one palm. Court death. The other two people in the tribulation stage quickly stood in front of Xianxia. Bang! Xianxia did not move, but the red girl fairy was immediately forced to retreat. She exclaimed, "Fellow Taoist Wan, do it quickly." She turned around suddenly, only to see Wan Potion slipping into another light door and heading to the 9th floor. Damn it! The red-haired fairy was dripping with cold sweat. At the critical moment, Wan Potion didn't take action but left instead. She immediately knew that she was being used, and she had no chance of winning against two tribulation stagers, so she immediately ran away. I wonder why you dare to betray me? It turns out you have found a helper. Xianxia's face was cold, and a golden light suddenly appeared in his eyes. Although her reaction is not as good as that of the Red Boy Fairy, once there is a chance to take action, the Red Boy Fairy will definitely die. Bang! The chest of the Red Girl Fairy, who was escaping far away, suddenly collapsed as if she had been hit hard, and a stream of blood spurted out from her mouth. But she didn't dare to stay at all, so she could only forcefully take a breath and continue to escape into the distance. Go chase her alone and kill her. Xianxia gave the order, and a tribulation stager immediately chased after her. She also looked at the light gate and said to the only tribulation stager left beside her, "You can see clearly just now." Human strength. Back to the sect leader, the tribulation period bowed slightly and said, "It seems that he is a famous swordsman, but his strength, can't tell. Do you practice swordsmanship?" Xianxia's eyes flashed with golden light, and she said, "But he is afraid of us, so he gave up on the Red Boy Fairy. However, since he dares to join hands with the Red Boy Fairy, he will die. Moreover, this ninth layer, the star transformation formation is still there, we are more familiar with him. Let's go." She waved her hand and stepped into the light door on the 9th floor first. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzwan Xianxia. Chapter 1362. Damn, there really is a formation. Wan Potion cursed when he saw the stars in the sky. Zuyun, could it be that the five elements soul-trapping formation outside was also your doing? He recognized this formation, and no one except Zuyun could do it. Standing on the Chaos Sword, he communicated with the Chaos Sword, and flew in one direction, muttering, "Fortunately, the Chaos Sword has been with Zuyun for a long time and knows how to get out of this formation, otherwise, it would be terrible." That Xianxia actually has immortal light in her body, plus two people in the tribulation crossing stage, I can't beat her. The Chaos Sword twisted and turned in the void, and after a cup of tea, he got out of the formation. It was also because this formation was almost destroyed by Xianxia and others earlier, otherwise this time would definitely not be enough. Huh? There's someone in the pool. He looked at the altar at first glance. In the pool below, there was a human head. Seeing that his face was somewhat similar to Zuyun, Wan Potion immediately understood that this was Zuyun's half-brother, Zufeng. Zhou Pao said that this kid is only in the nascent soul stage. I didn't believe it at first, but now I do. Wan Potion walked to the edge of the pool and felt Zufeng's realm. He felt admiration in his heart. Amazing, a nascent soul dared to attack a tribulation stage and still survived. Much more powerful than he was back then. After looking at him for a few minutes, Wan Potion frowned again. He turned out to be a demon cultivator? No, this demon cultivator seems to be different from other demon cultivators. He has practiced magic skills and has refined magic power in his body, but it seems, he is a sword cultivator with magic power as the source of power. After carefully looking at him, the Chaos Sword suddenly vibrated a few times. After a moment, Wan Potion was overjoyed. Damn, is he really a sword cultivator? He has also learned the sword art of my Wanjian mountain? Wonderful, wonderful. Chaos Sword, since this boy's Danshan is destroyed and he has no spiritual roots, then practicing my Wuji sword art is probably the best choice. What? You said he doesn't have a sword? He, don't worry, I won't give you to him. If the Wuji sword art is perfected, everything in the world can be a sword. A talent like Zuyun can't really understand the power of the Wuji sword art. Although the immortal emperor defeated me and took my sword art, he also took you. Unfortunately, he is not a sword cultivator after all. He changed his ways and was not proficient in this way, so he naturally couldn't achieve great success in the sword art. The Wuji sword art that Zuyun learned is just the fur. Wan Potion laughed wildly, full of pride, and then he hugged the chaos sword to his chest and stepped into the black pool. In an instant, the immortal root between his eyebrows emerged, and it turned out to be a small sword. This sword is exactly the same as the chaos sword in his hand. If there are people from the immortal kingdom here, they will definitely recognize that Wan Potion's immortal root is a top-grade sword immortal root. Ripples gradually appeared in the pool. Each ripple actually contains sword energy, just like the sword pool halfway up the sword mountain in the immortal mansion. Chaos sword, the Wuji sword immortal, also have a successor, ha ha ha. Since he is practicing the magic way, I will give him a nickname, the Wuji sword demon. Boom. As soon as the voice fell, Wan Potion's immortal root on his forehead suddenly flew out and greeted Zhu Feng between his eyebrows. After a few breaths, Zhu Feng also opened his eyes and looked at Wan Potion in front of him in disbelief. Meet, Master. Wan Potion actually used his immortal root to completely teach Zhu Feng his sword way. In addition, he told Zhu Feng his identity. What shocked Zhu Feng the most was that the swordsmanship he was taught was very consistent with what he learned from Sun Qiniang or in Wanjian Mountain. In this way, it was easier for him to comprehend, not to mention that he was already extremely talented and his heart was extremely firm. Zhu Feng boy, Wan Potion laughed, and then his expression suddenly became listless. I was the #1 swordsman in the fairy world, but later I was defeated by the fairy emperor and fell into the mortal world for some reason. You don't need to know the reason. However, you must carry forward my swordsmanship, otherwise, I will die with regret. Yes, Master. Zhu Feng looked extremely excited. The fairy root just now not only taught him the swordsmanship, but also led the blood moon power that could not be dissolved in his body to the pool water and across the entire space of the demon refining tower. And such consumption is at the cost of Wan Potion's fairy soul. Wan Potion will not die, but he will inevitably fall asleep. Zhu Feng, you and I are destined to be together. At first, you learn the basics of Wanjian Mountain, but later you learn the 18 sword arts of Wanjian Mountain. After the 18 arts are fully integrated, it is the Wuji sword art. However, you cultivate the devil energy and use magic power as the source of power, so I will give you the name of Wuji sword demon. Although you are a demon, you cannot act like a demon. Otherwise. Master, don't worry. I have been a demon before, and I will not be tripped by the same stone again. Very good, Wan Potion showed a gratified look. He said, then I will sleep here with you. When someone comes, you can fight if you can, but run away if you can't. Your brother Zuyun is still outside. Brother. He is fine for now, but he must have a hard fight. Remember not to be like before, looking for death at every turn. You should learn this from your brother. Remember the master's teachings. Zhu Feng bowed, and when he raised his head, Wan Potion had already laid down with the chaos sword in his arms, his body swallowed by the pool water. Master, don't worry. Wuji sword demon? What a good name. Zhu Feng murmured to himself as he walked out of the pool. But as soon as he emerged from the pool, he suddenly felt extreme pain between his eyebrows. This pain seemed to forcefully open his forehead. Ah! Zhu Feng suddenly hugged his head and couldn't help but let out a scream. But this did not relieve his pain, but instead made it worse. It hurts, it hurts. Zhu Feng's eyes were instantly filled with bloodshot eyes. He felt that his forehead had been opened, and at the same time, it seemed as if a sword was forcefully inserted. Bang! 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 Breakthrough, this must be a breakthrough. I have to hold on. Actually, my strength has already reached its extreme, and a breakthrough is a matter of course. But there is no catastrophe, so. Under such pain, Zhu Feng still remained conscious. From nascent soul to soul transformation, one must have a body tempered by the heavenly tribulation. but Zhu Feng was taught swordsmanship by the sword Immortal because of his true nature. This is the complete sword method, transcending the limitations of heaven. Breakthrough comes naturally. And Zhu Feng is still a mortal body, so he naturally has to endure such pain. If he can survive it, he can become a god. If he can't handle it, this opportunity will be gone for him. We can only leave the secret realm of ascension, return to the spiritual world, and face the catastrophe. Since I have learned the art of the sword Immortal, what does this mere pain mean? Break it for me. Suddenly, Zhu Feng stood up and spread his hands, as if to face the fierce storm. Boom! 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 The power of the blood moon floating on the 9th level suddenly surged towards him. Swallow, the magic power. Zhu Feng turned his back on the guest, and without waiting for the power of the blood moon to pour in, he used his magic power, turning his entire body into a devouring whirlpool. Hula! All the power of the blood moon, pulled by the invisible force, turned into small dark red swords and rushed into Zhu Feng's eyebrows. Ha ha ha! Zhu Feng coughed up blood and laughed wildly. Finally, all the pain subsided in an instant, and Zhu Feng's momentum suddenly surged. Is this the stage of becoming a god? Feeling the majestic power in his body and the extremely dark magic power flowing in his 9 veins, Zhu Feng murmured, suddenly raised his head and looked into the formation. Seeing the star-shifting formation in front of him, there were only Xianxia and a man in the tribulation period, and he had a plan in mind. Master specifically mentioned running away if you can't fight, which means there must be something weird about these two people, huh? There is another person chasing the other person on the 8th floor. Since I'm already in the god transformation stage, I'll kill one in the void refining stage first, isn't it too much? He thought for a moment and then locked his eyes on Xianxia. The other party is in the void refining stage, so there may be an opportunity to take advantage of it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1363. Zhu Feng's mind moved, and his figure disappeared quickly. But Xianxia was not a pushover, and she quickly felt an extremely strange spiritual power flowing. There are still people. But in this void, it is impossible to find a human figure. With her strength, she can't do this. Although the Dozhuan Xinyi formation destroyed many stars transformed by high-grade spiritual stones, this formation itself is different. Unless all the stars are destroyed, this formation is not considered destroyed. Be careful, someone is coming. Xianxia said to the tribulation period beside her. She could feel the flow of spiritual power, and she was weaker than her in terms of realm, and she was a little hesitant. Is there anyone else besides Wan Potion? In addition, what made her more worried was the nature of the flowing spiritual power, which made her a little unpredictable. Xianxia benefited from the 5 Elements Chaos Sutra and absorbed some free immortal power in the martial arts arena, so she could learn the immortal soul method. As long as she was attentive, her sensitivity to the surrounding environment was no weaker than that of others. Not to mention the flow of magic power that Zhu Feng had just aroused. This person in the crossing tribulation period quickly raised his spirits, which made Zhu Feng, who was hiding not far away, unable to start and could only watch them gradually go away. Fortunately, as far as he could see, they were also within Zhu Feng's sight. It seems that if we attack by force, it will definitely not work. The other party has obviously been alert. Zhu Feng was lectured by Wan Potion, and he would no longer fight to the death like before, and he also understood the truth that if you keep the Green Mountains, you will not be afraid of running out of firewood. That's right, he suddenly remembered his realm, the spiritualization stage can condense an incarnation. If I condense one and lure away the tribulation stage, will it be impossible to sneak attack Xianxia? Zhu Feng's heart moved, and he retreated in the opposite direction, and then quietly left the formation and returned to the altar. Master didn't teach me how to condense an incarnation, but my elder brother told me that the great way in the world is the same. I have a demonic aura, a sword heart, and I have learned the Wuji sword technique. If I use the sword energy to shape a body similar to mine, and then let it lure the tribulation stage away, it is not impossible. They are easily fooled by the shadows of the bow and snake. Zhu Feng's mind is also very delicate. After a little thought, he came up with a countermeasure. He did it as soon as he said it. Zhu Feng stepped into the pool again and controlled the sword energy all over his body. The Wuji sword technique is a fairy sword technique that can be used for all extremes and can change in 1,000 ways. As long as it is refined to perfection, the sword energy can be square or round, and it can take shape. Although Zhu Feng has learned the Wuji sword art, it is not so easy to use it at will. In order to be foolproof, he can only try this way, hoping that the Dozhuan Xinyi formation can last longer. He closed his eyes slightly, controlling the sword energy in his body to slowly flow out of his body. After a while, the sword energy formed a human outline. It's almost there. Zhu Feng opened his eyes, and was surprised and a little dissatisfied. It was just a human figure, without even the outline of the facial features, like a faceless person. It still needs to be carefully carved. Zhu Feng let the sword energy slowly solidify, and he stretched out his fingers as a sword and began to carve on the face. At the same time, in the cave in the extreme north of the Xianxia secret realm, a gray-black light column suddenly burst out. The light column shot up into the sky, as if it was about to break through the clouds of the Ascension secret realm. Wherever the light column went, the blood moon power floating in the air retreated. Ha ha ha, the true body of the extreme demon, the great achievement of the extreme demon. Who would have thought that my Jiden sect could actually achieve the legendary extreme demon in this broken place of the spiritual world? The wild laughter followed, and the mountain exploded with a bang, and the entire Ascension secret realm was also shaken. Congratulations to the sect master, congratulations to the sect master, returning to the original body and going one step further. After the mountain exploded, countless disciples of the Jiden sect showed up and knelt down to worship. The dust and smoke dissipated, and the vibration stopped. The black fog in the sky gradually gathered, forming a word G in the sky. The word G changed and turned into a word Mo. Finally, the word Mo slowly fell and entered the body of the sect master of the Jiden sect. This is the real sect master of the Jiden sect. It was originally divided into 3 souls, hidden in the bodies of 3 elders who had passed the tribulation and nurtured them separately, and then condensed. Huangmingxing is a yellow-level world star. Although it is low-level, it also brings infinite possibilities. What has not been done in the Tian-level Qingping star for countless thousands of years has been successful in Huangmingxing. And all this is entirely because the creatures in the spiritual world are lower level, but more pure. Get up. The leader of the Jiden sect spoke slowly, and everyone looked up at the center after hearing the words. I saw a man with a single horn on his forehead and snake scales on his face, standing proudly. In his sunken eyes, there was a pair of black pupils with almost no whites. He exuded a terrifying demonic aura all over his body, and even the blood moon power that enveloped the entire Xianxia secret realm could not cover him. The body of G-Devil has been fully developed. There is no need to stay here any longer. Everyone, follow me back to the spirit world and kill everyone. After that, we will go to Qingping immortal country to refine their immortal roots and refine my demon roots. At the command of the Ji-Dan sect master, all the disciples' eyes glowed red, just like those demon beasts who had lost their minds in Qingping immortal country. Roar! They all roared like beasts, opened their mouths in anger, and some even stretched their mouths to an incredible angle, tearing the corners of their mouths and splashing out bright red blood. And they didn't care at all, Their eyes became even more frantic because of the blood. He, this demon has come to the world, and the demon moon sect can't make any waves? How can the moon demon clan be the opponent of my extreme demon clan? The extreme Dan sect master was grinning, and suddenly a red light came. After landing, it turned into a slender body and stood in front of him. I didn't expect that you could achieve the great demon body. It's really a bit unexpected. Lin Yu looked at the extreme Dan sect master indifferently. No, now he should be called extreme demon. Moon demon, you haven't achieved the demon body yet? It seems that the moon demon blood in your body is not pure enough. The extreme demon glanced at Lin Yu with disdain. GMO, since we can meet on this yellow star, it is also a fate. For the sake of the same magic, how about we make a deal? GMO grinned, revealing a mouthful of black fangs. Do you think you are still qualified to make a deal with me? Lin Yu said indifferently, if you don't make a deal, I will turn around and stand on Zhu Yun's side, and then come to kill you. What do you think? What's the matter? Zhu Yun? Who is this? GMO was stunned, vaguely feeling that the name was familiar, but he couldn't remember it. After a while, he learned this name from the memory of the elder of his original body. It's just a formation master. A mere transformation stage. Even if there are another 100, plus you, they will not be my opponent, not to mention, I still have these little cuties. GMO laughed sinisterly and pointed to the disciples in front of him. But in a few breaths, the bodies of these G-Dan sect disciples have undergone strange changes. They still have human forms, but a single horn has also sprung out from their foreheads. It's just that the horn is like a bud that has just broken through the ground, and it has not fully grown. The skin on his face also began to turn black, and there were some faint lines. It seems that if he spends more time, he may grow scales like the extreme demon. Extreme demon, Lin Yu said lightly, whether you cooperate or not is up to you. At worst, I will leave now. My demon moon sect does not need any means to lurk in the spirit world for tens of thousands of years. Naturally, we have our own unique means. The implication is that you still need to use the smoke soul powder, and then refine the elixir, spend countless years, and let more than half of the spiritual world cultivators take it, and finally use it in the Ascension secret realm. The superiority is immediately judged. Moon demon, thousands of demons have their own means, you don't have to laugh at us. At least, I have returned to the demon body, right? You want to cooperate, it is not impossible, you need to show sincerity. For example, your moon demon clan seems to have a heritage magic weapon, why not give it to our extreme demon clan, what do you think? Lin Yu smiled and pointed to the sky. The blood moon magical weapon is in the sky. If you want it, just go get it. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1364. Phew, it's finally done. Zhu Feng looked at the lifelike fake incarnation in front of him, feeling satisfied. He still couldn't let this body of sword energy have its own intelligence. Because it cannot survive the catastrophe, and the soul has not transformed into a soul, it is naturally impossible to put any part of it on this incarnation. Not only was his incarnation fake, but even his divine transformation stage was only half real. But that's enough, at least I can control the sword energy. Zhu Feng found another way and re-entered the Dozhuan star shifting formation with this body of sword energy. After some searching, he zeroed in on Xianxia. Of course, Xianxia's extremely keen spiritual sense also discovered Zhu Feng, but she still couldn't determine his location. In her opinion, since she couldn't be sure, the other party must not be able to accurately find her position. Otherwise, I would definitely take action before. Coupled with the fear of Wan Potion's existence, Xianxia did not let the tribulation period take action. And this, just in line with Zhu Feng's intention, is a bit of a hit. Zhu Feng concentrated his mind, controlled the black body, and rushed towards Xianxia. The entire body was filled with sword energy, which immediately made Xianxia's expression condense. In addition, Zhu Feng had been inherited by Wan Potion, and he had a faint aura of him. As a result, Xianxia immediately thought that Wan Potion had taken action. Kill him first. Xianxia gave a sweet shout, and the tribulation stage immediately took out the chaos palm, and the extremely majestic chaos power was blasted towards the oncoming black sword body. But Zhu Feng's move was originally a trick to lure the enemy. As soon as the opponent moved slightly, he controlled the fake avatar to turn dexterously, and retreated towards the distance as if he was frightened. Chase. Xianxia gave the order, and the tribulation period immediately chased after him, and she followed closely. Wan Potion must die. At this time, Zhu Feng's eyes flashed and he moved. He is multitasking, and his false incarnation does not require exquisite control. You just need to keep him running forward. Zhu Feng's eyes were locked on Xianxia, and his whole body turned into a black light, suddenly attacking Xianxia's back. There is no sword in the hand, but there is a sword in the heart. Everything can be a sword. I wish for the wind, and I can also wish for the sword. He doesn't have a sword in his hand, but he uses his body as a sword. His hands were clasped together above his head, his legs were pressed tightly together, his whole body was filled with sword energy and demonic energy was flowing. It really looked like a black sword without a hilt. Call out. Under the cover of black demonic energy, Xianxia, who had been paying attention to the fake incarnation, didn't notice it for a while. It wasn't until the extremely sharp sword energy hit her back that Xianxia suddenly came back to her senses. No, you dare to sneak attack during this stage of transformation. She thought that Zhu Feng might take action, but he had not moved before, and then his breath disappeared, which made Xianxia mistakenly think that Zhu Feng was still afraid of her. And even if the tiger is lured away from the mountain and attacks in the east and west, presumably this low-level monk will be the bait. Who would have thought that he would be the main attacker? Moreover, instead of killing me in the tribulation stage, kill me in the void refining stage first? It was too late for Xianxia to regret. The sword energy had already made a crack on her protective clothing, and she felt pain on her skin. It's too late. All her abilities are based on the immortal soul power in her soul, but her body is only in the ordinary refining stage. But Zhu Feng is completely different. He is a swordsman. Practice the magic of the fairy sword. Even without this recultivation, in fact, his body has been tempered by the devouring demon technique countless times and has a certain strength. Die. Zhu Feng's eyes suddenly turned black, revealing a strange and fierce light. He closed his hands and inserted his two middle fingers into Xianxia's back first. See blood. A touch of bright red scattered in the void. Help me quickly, leave that person alone. Xianxia roared angrily, trying to summon help from the tribulation period. But who would have thought that the figure in the tribulation stage was shaken, hesitated for a moment, but continued to chase straight ahead. At this moment, Xianxia understood. During this period of tribulation, I have never truly surrendered to myself. If he dies, then the suppression of him by the 5 elements of Chaos Sutra will also be lifted. At this moment, it's too late to control him by force. Zhu Feng's palm had already penetrated her back. What shocked her even more was that Zhu Feng's indifferent voice sounded. Devouring the magic power. After entering the divine transformation stage, Zhu Yun's body can withstand more power. Devouring a void refining stage is no problem at all. Ah! The screams were accompanied by unwillingness, and Xianxia felt the loss of strength in her body. The extremely pure fire spirit power, mixed with the power of the fairy soul in Zifu, poured out crazily along Zhu Feng's palm. The vitality gradually dissipated, and Xianxia gradually felt weak. Before her eyes, hallucinations slowly appeared, Scenes from her childhood. Not welcome in the Fire Dragon sect. In order to become stronger, she deceived her brother Xianxia, and finally used a method of dual cultivation to promote her nascent soul. He also used Feng Qingyang to follow Nangong Tingfeng to the spirit world. Under the Shengxian platform, he abandoned Feng Qingyang and left, unexpectedly merging with the 5 elements of Chaos Sutra. Gradually, Xianxia's eyelids drooped, and her body turned into a mummy. Zhu Feng was not happy because of the huge power in his body. He raised his head and stared at the tribulation period. Fellow Taoist, you and I have no enmity at all. It's all because Xianxia controlled me. During this tribulation period, he looked at Zhu Feng with an expressionless face and said, "Humph." Zhu Feng's heart was like a mirror. Knowing that he was afraid of Wan Potion, he couldn't help but snorted coldly and said, "Are you from the 5 Elements sect?" "Exactly, fellow Taoist. I think you also know about the changes in the 5 Elements section. We originally only wanted to retreat into seclusion and ascend, but Xianxia used a conspiracy to take away the secret method of our 5 Elements sect, thereby controlling us, making us who are in seclusion old and immortal. I have to come out and sacrifice my life for her. Fellow Taoist, now I just want to leave this fairy tower and not get involved in this secret realm of immortality." Zhu Feng's heart moved slightly, and after thinking for a moment, he said, "I don't want to kill you, otherwise my master would have done it long ago. However, if you want to leave, this is not a good time. You have only one choice, which is to leave temporarily. Stay here." Zhu Feng thought that Zhu Yun was still outside and was Lin Yu's enemy. If he allowed a period of time to escape the tribulation, there would be no guarantee that an accident would not happen. After all, Zhu Yun is only in the stage of becoming a god. The important thing is that apart from him, there is still a period of transcending the tribulation, and he and the Red Girl Fairy are restraining each other, which can buy Zhu Yun some time. Thinking about Wan Potion, who had never appeared, he suddenly fell silent during this period of tribulation. After thinking about the pros and cons, he decided to listen to Zhu Feng for the time being. "Fellow Taoist, I am willing to believe you, so I will rest and recuperate in this formation. What do you think?" Zhu Feng glanced at Xianxia's mummy, and then said, "Of course it's possible, but don't act rashly. The reason why my master didn't take action is actually because he let me go through training. Naturally, I can't beat you. But if you threaten me, my master will definitely not hold back." After Zhu Feng finished speaking, he turned around carelessly, waved his hand, and took the mummy away with him. During the tribulation period, he did not move. He just sat in the void and closed his eyes. People under the eaves have to bow their heads. He saw that the false incarnation he was chasing before was full of familiar feelings. This reminded him of an acquaintance from 10,000 years ago. Is it really him? Coming out of the formation, Zhu Feng stared at the mummy for a long time, and finally reached out and patted it. Snap! The mummy instantly turned into powder. At the same time, a book and a fragment were revealed. The 5 Elements Chaos Sutra? I think this is the technique that my eldest brother practices. But, what is this fragment? Zhu Feng picked up the fragments and looked at them several times, but couldn't see any clues. Finally, he put the 5 Elements of Chaos Sutra and the fragments into his arms. Walking to the edge of the black pool, he took out a handful of spiritual stones from his storage bag. It was time for him to leave, but Wan Potion couldn't take him out. He can only be kept here temporarily. Just after setting up the complete 9 turns and 9 suns formation, Zhu Feng suddenly noticed an inexplicable wave of power coming from behind him. He turned around suddenly and saw a stranger. I was shocked. I stretched out my palm and struck it. "Master Feng, I was sent by Master Zhu Yun to help you. It's Zhou Pao. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills." Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1365. Help me? Can you get out of this formation easily? If Zuyun hadn't told him the method of controlling this formation, it would have been impossible for him to enter it at will. But the moment he felt Zhou Pao, the other party had already appeared in front of him, which allowed Zhu Feng to face up to Zhou Pao's ability. This formation can't stop me. Zhou Pao had some difficulty in explaining, and said, "The master is worried about the safety of you and Mayor Wan, so he sent me in." What's the situation now? After he came over from the 8th level, he went directly out of the formation and did not notice the tribulation period in the formation. The situation is not bad. How is my elder brother? Master is still waiting and watching. Lin Yu has already run away. Hearing this, Zhu Feng frowned, remembering that his body was almost exploded by the power of the blood moon. Zhu Feng also felt lingering fear. If Wan Potion hadn't come, I might not have been able to wake up. Then go out to find my elder brother first. Zhu Feng moved, but suddenly stopped and said, "You stay here for the time being. There is another person in this formation. Remember to keep an eye on him to avoid destroying the tower." Zhu Feng hadn't figured out the details of Zhou Pao yet, so it was naturally impossible for him to tell him Wan Potion's situation. What he was more worried about was that if Zhou Pao had malicious intentions, Do Chuan Xinyi would not be able to play a role. If Zuyun says that there is no problem with him, then there will be no problem in looking for him in the tower. Don't worry, Master Feng, I will definitely take good care of it. Zhou Pao quickly agreed. Zhu Feng nodded slightly, and then in a flash, he left the demon refining tower and appeared in the secret realm of immortal ascension. Bless the wind. Feeling a wave of demonic energy, Zuyun immediately saw Zuyun and couldn't help but be overjoyed after discovering that he had achieved the stage of becoming a god. Brother! Zhu Feng cried with joy, quickly stepped forward and hugged Zuyun. By the way, brother, someone just entered it? Did you run away when you met Zhou? Don't worry, he can be trusted. Zuyun patted his shoulder, which immediately made Zhu Feng feel at ease. By the way, Zhu Feng, have you seen Wan Potion? Zhu Feng hesitated for a moment, then said, "Now, he is my master." Master? He accepted you as his disciple. Zuyun frowned. This was a good thing, but the problem was that he didn't understand Wan Potion's identity. I thought that he was just a figure who could compete with Ye Yong back then, but after meeting Nujiao, things seemed to become a little confusing again. Brother, my master is the Sword Immortal. He told me that he found the Immortal Emperor in the Immortal world for a bet and lost in the end, so he was placed under house arrest by the Immortal Emperor and his memory was sealed. What? Sword Immortal? Zuyun's expression changed. This was something he had never thought of. Yes, Sword Immortal, Zhu Feng laughed, his immortal name is Wuji Sword Immortal. And he also gave me the name Wuji Sword Demon. The Infinite Sword Demon. Zuyun murmured in his mouth, and suddenly praised, what a good name. But Zhu Feng, you must not be possessed by the devil again. Brother, Zhu Feng raised his eyebrows and said, if a person trips over the same stone twice, then he is a fool. Do you think I will be a fool? Of course not, Zuyun laughed, and then said, 4 people went in before, how is the situation? Zhu Feng took out the 5 elements of Chaos Sutra from his arms and said, brother, Xianxia has been sucked into a human by me. Is this the technique you learned? Now it's up to you. By the way, there are also a fragment. After saying that, Zhu Feng gently placed the fragment on top of the technique. This. Zuyun was stunned for a moment, then ecstatically said, that's great. Originally, my main purpose of sneaking into the 5 elements sect was this fragment. Then I almost fell into Xianxia's trap. He put away the fragments, smiled broadly, and then set his sights on the 5 elements of Chaos Sutra. This book was originally from the secret realm of the Book of Heaven, but was snatched away by Xianxia. Now it is back in his hands unexpectedly. Just as he put away the fragments and the 5 elements of Chaos Sutra, a sudden change occurred in the distance. A blood moon brilliance and black light beam flew quickly. 2 extremely terrifying auras also filled the air. One of them is the power of blood moon. But the other one is demonic energy. The expressions of both of them changed. They were only in the stage of becoming gods, and this aura gave them great pressure. Zhu Yun's face condensed, and he quickly moved the blood moon formation to offset Lin Yu's pressure. What he didn't expect was that Zhu Feng stretched out his hand and the demon refining tower quickly shrank and fell into his hands. Wanji Dao can be used as Wuji. All the powers in the world can be used as sword energy. As he spoke, he danced across the demon refining tower sword, and the demonic energy was actually used by him. Not only did the pressure disappear, but a shield was formed in front of him. Zhu Feng, are you, the Wuji sword technique? Zhu Yun felt extremely familiar, but this was the Wuji sword technique that he had never learned before. Brother, Zhu Feng said with an extremely solemn expression, I'll talk about it later. Think about it quickly, how should you deal with it now? Although he is smart, his experience in fighting at higher levels is much worse than Zhu Yun's. Okay, Zhu Yun focused his gaze again and said, brothers work together, their power is as strong as gold. We don't know who the black demonic energy is coming from, but Lin Yu, we can kill him first. You go first, come with me. Zhu Yun walked in the power of the blood moon formation and ran towards the moon demon ruins. Zhu Yun also followed closely with sword steps. Every step is extremely heavy. Because that is the pure magic power of GMO, his ordinary god transformation stage can block not only the Wuji sword art, but also the demon refining tower. Moon demon, if you don't stop them, if they escape, then you will have no value in cooperating. In the sky, Jimo's gaze fell on Zhu Feng. He could feel that Zhu Feng also had the ultimate demonic energy. This aroused some interest in him. I really want to extract his spiritual roots and refine them into a magic elixir. I need to enter this formation and then take it back. You are here to protect the law. Lin Yu's face didn't look good either. Who would have thought that Zhu Yun could still use the blood moon formation even though he was outside the formation? It seems that Zhu Yun's attainments in formations far exceed her imagination. This is something even she can't do. This demon doesn't even bother to do things like protect the law, but those little cuties can do it. Jimo's eyes suddenly glowed with a cold red light, which looked even more strange under the power of the blood moon. The red light was projected on the ground and painted in circles. Soon, the red light left deep marks on the ground, and then, he entered the demonic energy again. After a moment, the demonic energy surged, and the demons wearing Jidanzong protective clothing came out one by one. Lin Yu's face changed slightly. What are you? It's just the teleportation array of our GMO clan, GMO said with a half smile. Don't you guys have one too? Humph, we do have it, but if we use it, this world can't bear it. Even the yellow stars outside can't bear it? Haha, whatever you say, Moon Demon, I'll give you an hour. If you can't handle it, then I'll leave. His goal is Qingping Immortal Kingdom. And Jidan sect can directly reach Qingping Immortal Kingdom. Thinking of the wonderful taste of the immortal roots, he couldn't hold back. Lin Yu put on a straight face and quietly flew into the Moon Demon ruins. At this time, Zhu Yun and Zhu Feng had already entered the formation I. Brother, the pressure of the demonic energy is gone. Only Lin Yu is chasing after you as you said. How should we deal with it? No rush, Zhu Yun squinted his eyes. He originally thought that Lin Yu would quickly seize control of the formation when he entered the formation, so he rushed here. Unexpectedly, and to his slight surprise, Lin Yu walked in a hurry, but did not pass any of the secondary formations. He occupied the main formation I, and Lin Yu could only start from the secondary formation I, and then fight with him on both sides. When the time comes, the battle will be on who can't hold on. However, Lin Yu not only did not do this, she even collected all her aura after entering the formation. This is clearly a gesture of wanting to have peace talks with him. Finally, Lin Yu stood far in front of Zhu Yun. Zhu Yun, let's join forces to kill that extreme demon. Lin Yu got straight to the point, which surprised Zhu Yun. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzwan Xianxia. Chapter 1366. Why should I trust you? Zhu Yun asked with a solemn expression. You have no choice but to believe in me. If I join forces with GMO, you will only die. Although you control the blood moon formation, even if I can't take it, I can still destroy it. Without the blood moon formation, do you think it will still be GMO's opponent? Extreme Demon. Zhu Yun squinted his eyes and looked at the black figure floating in the sky outside the formation, as well as the ordinary polar demons that were constantly colliding with the blood moon formation. The formation was shaking and the ground was shaking. The ruins of the moon demon ruins and the dilapidated houses began to collapse. Is it an extraterrestrial demon? Hearing the next four words, Lin Yu's pupils shrank suddenly, and she was very surprised and said, You actually know about the extraterrestrial demon? Zhu Yun smiled calmly, since I have been to Qingping Fairy Kingdom, I can get some information. Lin Yu, you should also have the blood of the demon from outside the territory, right? Zhu Yun didn't know it at first, but he was so thoughtful. After thinking about it carefully, he figured out the key. The demonic energy in GMO made him feel slightly similar to Nujiao, and Nujiao was a member of the Holy Demon clan. It can be seen from this that the extreme demons must also be demons. Since Lin Yu was able to join forces with the extreme demon, it was obvious that Lin Yu, not only an extraterrestrial demon, at least had blood. Zhu Yun, you are very powerful, Lin Yu smiled. Logically speaking, such a smart person should die early. If you are allowed to ascend to the fairy world, you will be a great threat to us demons. Zhu Yun laughed and said, So, you want to join forces with me, is it a lie? No, it's true. Lin Yu looked at Zhu Feng and said, he is your brother, right? I joined forces with you for his sake. If you can hand him over to me, you and I will work together to kill the extreme demon, and when the time comes, I can also let you live. Zhu Yun immediately sneered, and just when he was about to refuse, he saw Zhu Feng speak first. Brother, becoming a demon or an immortal is all for the sake of immortality. I think this is feasible. Zhu Feng, you. Zhu Yun's face was extremely ugly, and he was about to curse angrily, but saw Zhu Feng blinking at him calmly. He understood immediately. Both he and Zhu Feng knew that what Lin Yu said was true. Zhu Feng re-entered the devil's path, but his heart is kind, which shows that he has a very strong character. The combination of the demon devouring technique and the demon refining tower will have great potential on the path to immortality in the future. On top of the demonic path, it is even more powerful. Although he didn't know what Lin Yu wanted from Zhu Feng, since Zhu Feng was not bewitched, temporarily obeying might be the best choice. Zhu Yun thought for a moment and then said, What do you want my brother to do? Zhu Yun, your brother has learned the 9th generation magic skill of my Moon Demon clan, and he has a very strong talent and can practice the 9 transformations. This is a rare talent even on Qingping Star. My Yu the demon tribe is dying, and if you want to return to the top, he is the best successor. Zhu Yun raised his eyebrows, is this true? Of course I take it seriously, otherwise, why would I stand here and discuss it with you? Lin Yu turned around, looked outside the formation, and said, I will give your brother a good fortune, and you should thank me. However, I, Lin Yu, am easy to talk to, so I don't need you to come up with anything. And I will spare your life. Zhu Yun knew that Lin Yu had such strength, and it would be really difficult for him to deal with it forcefully. What she said before made sense. Although he has mastered the blood moon formation, it is not difficult for Lin Yu to destroy this formation. Plus the help of GMO. Is that GMO a member of the Jidan sect? Zhu Yun's thoughts raced and he immediately thought of a key question, but he didn't ask it. Instead, he asked about GMO. Yes, GMO is the sect established by Jidan sect lurking in the spiritual world. They can enter Qingping Fairy Kingdom at any time. However, we had no relationship before. If it weren't for this time that you wanted to snatch the blood moon magic artifact, I don't even bother to fight with you. Magic weapon? Isn't it an immortal weapon? Zhu Yun was slightly startled. Immortal weapon? Will the fairy weapon release such a weird power of the blood moon? Zhu Yun suddenly understood, but whether it was a fairy weapon or a magic weapon, this blood moon must not fall into Lin Yu's hands. After the GMO is destroyed, he will join forces with Zhu Feng to kill Lin Yu. Zhu Yun had some concerns in his mind, winked at Zhu Feng, and then said, "Then how do we deal with GMO?" "It's easy to handle," Lin Yu raised her eyebrows and said, "You use the blood moon formation to trap him, and I fight with him. In the end, Zhu Feng will devour him. It turns out that I want to wish the wind to help me." Zhu Yun nodded in agreement and said, "Okay, then go out now and I will take action right away." The GMO outside could not see the situation in the blood moon formation and did not know that Lin Yu and Zhu Yun were planning to join forces to rebel. Lin Yu flew out, and Zhu Yun immediately led the formation. In an instant, the red light of the blood moon formation exploded, and the blood moon covered bridge also became thicker. The power of the blood moon continued to flow from the blood moon magic weapon into the formation, for Zhu Yun's use. "Wake it up for me!" Zhu Yun shouted low, and the blood moon formation immediately enveloped Lin Yu and GMO. Together with the ordinary polar demons that were constantly hitting the formation walls, they suddenly fell into the ruins. "Zhu Feng," Zhu Yun forcibly controlled the formation and said in a deep voice, "You kill those ordinary extreme demons first. If you can devour them, try to strengthen your own strength first. Brother, don't worry, I will not only devour the extreme demons, but also Lin Yu." Zhu Feng roared, his hands trembling unconsciously. "Then I will put those extreme demons in one by one." Zhu Yun was doing two things at once. Not only did he use the blood moon formation to help Lin Yu, but he also controlled the formation to separate the ordinary extreme demons in the ruins. "Brother, I'm going." An extreme demon suddenly appeared in front of the two people. Zhu Feng stepped on the sword step and stabbed the demon tower fiercely. The infinite sword technique hit the weakness directly. Swish! The tip of the tower pierced straight into the lower edge of the extreme demon's eyebrows, under the horn. Devouring magic. The magic energy flowed, and Zhu Yun felt the terrifying magic energy, which was all swallowed up by Zhu Feng. In just a moment, the extreme demon had been sucked into a dry corpse. "Come again." Zhu Feng's eyes were bloodshot, and he maintained his rationality. The extremely pure magic power continued to attack his mind. If he lost, he would instantly become a demon. In his lower abdomen, the nascent soul became more solid. The 9 black rings, after the magic energy was infused, the circulation speed was also faster. Another extreme demon appeared in front of him. Die! Swish! Even Zhu Yun couldn't see Zhu Feng's sword moves clearly, and the extreme demon had already stopped moving. The demon's body quickly shrank through the center of his eyebrows through the demon tower. Another one. And so on. In just half an hour, all the extreme demons had been swallowed by Zhu Feng. "Zhu Feng, you have to refine well, Lin Yu seems to be able to hold on for a while. Seeing that Zhu Feng's figure was shaky and his body seemed to be undergoing extremely strong changes, Zhu Feng couldn't help but shout in a deep voice. He was afraid that Zhu Feng's character could not withstand so much demonic energy. "Brother," Zhu Feng responded, "if I can't hold on, you kill me earlier. You won't die." Zhu Yun said angrily, "Hold on, brother won't let you die." If Zhu Feng really became possessed by the devil and became a demon, then he would take Zhu Feng into the immortal mansion no matter what he said. As long as it was not his intention to become possessed by the devil, Zhu Yun would try his best to save his life. Zhu Feng stopped talking and sat cross-legged, with demonic energy lingering around him. From time to time, a sharp short horn would pop out between his eyebrows, but soon, it would be suppressed by Zhu Feng. And so on. Every time Zhu Yun saw the sharp horn, his heart would tremble, fearing that Zhu Feng would not be able to hold on at this time. At this time, there was a huge change in the sky. The fight between Lin Yu and GMO had also reached a white-hot level. The palms of the two intersected, and the sky changed color. Two extremely strange demonic energies kept intertwining and colliding in the palms. Boom! 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 The Ascension secret realm was shaken strongly again. The ground began to crack. Zhu Yun saw an incredible scene. Around the blood moon demonic energy, the sky seemed to have cracks. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzhuan Xianxia. Chapter 1367. What a terrifying power! Lin Yu's burst of strength is actually so strong. Zhu Yun was extremely frightened and used the void-breaking spiritual eye technique. Under this spell, what he saw was more real and more terrifying. There are several darker and deeper cracks in the black void. These were like real emptiness, and a thought arose in his mind. Could it be that the secret realm of Xianxia is going to be destroyed? No, if this continues, Zhu Feng and I will both die. Originally, what he thought was that when two tigers fight, one of them will be injured, and then he will take action against GMO or Lin Yu, depending on the situation. But now, the outcome between the two has not been decided. Zhu Feng is also refining the extremely demonic energy in his body, but the secret realm of Xianxia is about to be unable to hold on. What should I do? Zhu Yun has a deep fear of the void. In the process of traveling from the teleportation array in the imperial city of Qingping Immortal Kingdom to the misty mountains and forests of the mortal world, the tearing force of the void made him still a little scared when he thought about it. If his chaos power hadn't been strong enough, he would have died long ago and would never have the chance to return to the immortal secret realm. What to do? Zhu Yun glanced at Zhu Feng and suddenly came up with a bold idea. The secret realm of Ascension is a secret realm that is independent of the spiritual world. It is an independent space. And my universe is also a space. But the world of the universe was once a half-formed world. No matter how incomplete the rules were, it would probably be more advanced than this world. If so, I can incorporate the secret realm of immortal ascension into the world of the universe, will it? As soon as the ideas came together, Zhu Yun immediately began to think about the possibilities. But soon, he gave up. The world of the universe, after all, still belongs to the category of immortal weapons. The blood moon magic weapon is an equal existence to the immortal weapon. If the great universe world cannot accommodate it, will it burst the great universe world? If this is the case, the gain outweighs the loss. The creatures in the universe world may also die. Zhu Yun gave up the idea and kept pacing around Zhu Feng. He even had the urge to let go of the blood moon formation and let the extreme demon kill Lin Yu. But in comparison, he knew nothing about GMO, but was more familiar with Lin Yu. It's not the relationship at this level, but that he would rather deal with Lin Yu than deal with GMO. Through Yan Hunsen, GMO can definitely control many monks. From among the ordinary G demons that Zhu Feng had killed previously, he saw that these people were even wearing G-Dan-Sect's protective clothing. In other words, GMO can turn the monks of G-Dan sect into GMO. So, is it possible to turn ordinary monks into extremely demons? Zuyun doesn't dare to gamble. He walked back and forth, the 5 elements of Chaos Sutra in his arms kept rubbing his lower abdomen. By the way, I don't use Dazu World, but Zhu Feng gave me the fragment. If I use this fragment. Suddenly, Zuyun's eyes lit up and he quickly took out the fragment. This piece should be a fragment of the Diwu glass mirror. If I don't fuse it with my chest, it will be fine. Then use the space in this fragment to try to suck the 2 of them into it. Thinking of this, Zuyun's eyes shone with light and he decided to refine this fragment. After pondering for a moment, Zuyun condensed an incarnation. If nothing happens to the main body, then use the incarnation to fight. Golden Avatar. Zuyun shouted in his heart, and an identical person immediately jumped out of his body. Xianxia took the fragment from Zuyun's hand, bit his fingertip, and dripped blood. Boom! A loud noise was heard, and the blood moon formation suddenly trembled. This scene not only attracted Lin Yu's attention, but also distracted GMO and glanced this way. UMO, it seems your plan is going to fail. Although GMO felt uncomfortable all over, when Lin Yu attacked him, she knew that he must have joined forces with Zuyun. Moreover, there was a change in the formation, and it was obviously Zuyun who had done something. Humph, GMO, whether it is the spiritual world or the Qingping Fairy Kingdom, it will be our Moon Demon clan's territory. You can't get involved. Either you will die today or I will live. Lin Yu completely turned her back. After meeting Zhu Feng, she was not afraid of death at all. For her, the inheritance of the Moon Demon clan is even more important. You can't defeat me. When this immortal secret realm is shattered, thousands of monks in the spiritual world will be used by me. And you, without the blood moon magic weapon, will eventually die in my hands. GMO revealed his purpose. I will kill you here before this secret realm of ascension is shattered. In Lin Yu's heart, she would be lying if she said she wasn't anxious, because Zhu Feng was still sitting cross-legged on the ground and didn't move at all. She had some knowledge of the devouring demon technique and knew that it would take some time for Zhu Feng to regain his consciousness and help her. However, this cannot be seen by GMO. But at this time, what GMO said made her feel a little worried. I have been deceived by Zuyun several times, will this time? Will he still lie to me? Probably not. I told him to let him live, and then led Zhu Feng on a supreme demonic path to achieve eternal life. He should be grateful. Otherwise, let alone ascending, he would not even be able to survive in the spiritual world. Just as they were wondering, the blood moon formation suddenly shook again, and a golden light that did not belong to the side of the sky flew towards them. I saw Zuyun's whole body wrapped in golden light, one hand standing on his chest, and the other hand seemed to be holding something. Lin Yu, let me help you. Xianxia suddenly spoke, leaving Lin Yu stunned. Wasn't it agreed that Zhu Feng would take action? However, Zuyun has a lot of clever ideas, so he can take action. At least he can break the deadlock here. Under such circumstances, Lin Yu did not even doubt why the golden spiritual power in this golden incarnation was so pure. Xianxia and Zuyun were so close to each other, and they were so connected that they suddenly stabbed out the palm of their chest. Let the sword energy out. Call out. The human-like golden light sword energy shot towards the extreme demon. With just your spiritual power, you want to hurt me, GMO. Zuyun, who is in the God transformation stage, can only kill him at the void refining stage with pure golden spiritual power. Let alone the extreme demon who has achieved a demonic body, even if he is still in the tribulation stage, he cannot be hurt by the sword energy. But he had no idea that this was the purpose of Zuyun's incarnation. Snap! GMO didn't even try to avoid it, and used his hard body to bear it down. The golden light dispersed, but the impact also made GMO take 2 steps back. Lin Yu's eyes were filled with joy, and she immediately stepped forward and said, "Zuyun, well done." She let out a sweet cry, grabbed a ray of blood moon power with one palm, and smacked it towards the underside of GMO's horn. The body of GMO is extremely hard, and the softest place is the corner between the eyebrows. Even the body of GMO is no exception. "Moon Demon, do you want to hurt me?" GMO sneered, lowered his head slightly, and instead put the horn into Lin Yu's palm. But at this moment, a thunderbolt fell from the sky. Zi La. Impartially, the sky thunder struck the horn, and GMO suddenly froze. A flash of surprise flashed through his black pupils. But the effect of the sky thunder was not good. GMO immediately resumed his action and did not completely avoid Lin Yu's killing move. The palm hit him hard. The devil flew out upside down. Lin Yu didn't have time to think about where the thunder came from. She didn't even have to think about it. It must have been Zuyun. There was an aura in the thunder that day that made her feel a little scared. But fortunately, this thunder is not strong enough. The effect of the heaven-gathering thunder talisman is still not enough. Even if I draw the talisman with the power of thunder, it won't work. Zuyun frowned slightly. He thought that the thunder would damage GMO at least, but it didn't even cause any damage. Seeing Lin Yu continuing to pursue, Zuyun's heart moved. Since one sky thunder is not enough, then use a few more. Jin Jiwa flew to Lin Yu's side and walked side by side with her. "Lin Yu, I'll use my sword energy to interfere with him again, see if you can succeed again." "Good." Lin Yu did not doubt that he was there, and completely locked her energy on GMO. Seeing that he slowly stabilized his figure, she grabbed him again, and there was a touch of blood moon power in his hand. "Let the sword energy out." Jin Jiawa also took action at this time. "The power of the blood moon." Lin Yu followed closely behind. "But I never thought that the sound of thunder came from the sky again." But this time, there were dozens of them. Dark clouds rolled in, even covering the blood moon at this moment. Boom! The range of dozens of sky thunders encompassed both Lin Yu and GMO. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1368. What's going on? Lin Yu was horrified. With the blood of the demon clan, she could certainly feel the instinctive fear. Although the damage caused by the thunder to her was limited, if her body was sluggish, who knows what Zuyun next to her would do. Retreat. Lin Yu made a quick decision and quickly retreated towards the rear. Upon seeing this, Jin Jiawa's pupils shrank suddenly. He gathered his sword energy with his backhand, and used a Wuji sword technique to seal Lin Yu's retreat. "Zuyun, do you dare?" Lin Yu's eyes widened with anger, and she also used her body to bear the sword energy, but she never thought that Jin Jianyuan stopped his hand and quickly drew a magic talisman in front of him. Elementary talisman, golden light talisman. This is the instinct engraved in Zuyun's body, and he has long been familiar with it. Although the golden light talisman has no offensive effect, the golden light that bursts out in an instant can temporarily make people lose their eyesight. Lin Yu opened her eyes wide and was hit. She quickly turned to use her demon soul to sense the surrounding situation, but she saw the other palm of the golden incarnation suddenly slapping towards her. What is he doing? This palm didn't even have spiritual power, and even if Zuyun tried his best to slap her with his physical palm, it wouldn't hurt her at all. In a moment of confusion, the fragment in Jin Jiawa's hand was already attached to her body. "Let me in." The voice was still echoing in Lin Yu's ears, and Lin Yu suddenly realized that she was in a different place. Underfoot is a huge martial arts field made of square bricks. The martial arts arena is floating in the entire void. Where is this? Lin Yu was confused. At the same time, Jin Jiajia let out a sigh of relief, but in an instant, a soaring demonic energy enveloped him. Extreme Demon. At this moment, GMO also noticed that Lin Yu was missing, and immediately knew that it was Xianxia's fault. In particular, an extremely mysterious aura of power just now made him discover that everything started from the fragments in the hands of Xianxia. This might be. It is a fragment of the supreme treasure. There was a hint of greed in Gmo's eyes, and he was not familiar with Zuyun, so he thought this was Zuyun. GGG, boy, good job. GMO was extremely fast, and as soon as the black shadow arrived, Xianxia's entire body flew backwards. At the same time, the fragment of the Dao-glazed mirror has fallen into the hands of GMO. Huh? There are actually space patterns on this? It seems like the moon demon has been sucked in here. GMO was well informed and could see some clues at a glance, without even caring about where the golden incarnation went. In the blood moon formation, Zuyun's face was extremely ugly. No matter how he thought, he never thought that the fragments would fall into the hands of the devil. Xianxia's body had already begun to shatter under the impact just now. This incarnation. I'm afraid I can't save it. Zuyun watched helplessly as the golden avatar turned into streaks of golden spiritual power and dissipated into the secret realm, and his soul also felt as if a layer had been peeled off. Just like when he killed the incarnation of chaos. It's over now, the devil has taken away the fragments. Zuyun murmured, but saw the GMO stuff the fragment into his arms, and then fell straight down. With a thought in his heart, he quickly gathered away his own aura and was always ready to take action. He had already made a preliminary judgment on the strength of GMO. It is stronger than the ordinary tribulation stage, but it can never exceed the way of heaven. Then, the only method he can use is the immortal soul hammer. However, once the immortal soul hammer is released, it will inevitably be discovered, so use Zufeng as bait for now. Boy, the devilish aura in you makes me very interested. GMO did not take action directly, but stood in front of Zufeng and said with interest. At this time, Zufeng slowly opened his eyes. Under GMO's attention, Zufeng stood up supporting the demon refining tower. Boy, are you interested in becoming our GMO? With such pure demonic energy, you can definitely become the devil of our GMO clan. Zufeng said steadily, devil? What is that? If a good person is not a good person, what kind of devil can he be? Ha ha ha, GMO asked back, what's wrong with being a demon? Sooner or later, the fairyland will be invaded by the demons, and then the entire fairyland will be the territory of the demons. Do you think you can still be a human? I don't understand things about the fairy world. I only know that if you are born as a human being, you must not become a demon. Zufeng slowly lifted the demon refining tower. You are only in the stage of becoming a god. If you want to attack me, I'm afraid you won't even be able to break my skin. GMO shook his head and showed a look of pity, since you don't want to be a demon, then you can only be an ordinary GMO without his own instinctive consciousness. But don't worry, I will let you be my number one GMO demon, you will take the lead in conquering the immortal world. After saying that, GMO's demonic aura surged, and a black mist surged directly towards Zufeng. From what I see, you should become the magic power in my body. Zufeng roared angrily, holding the demon refining tower and stabbing forward suddenly. The top of the tower tilts up, pointing directly at the base of GMO's horn. This is the Wuji sword technique. Phew. The sound of penetration came, and the top of the tower was fiercely inserted into GMO's forehead. Impossible, impossible. How could your sword possibly pierce my body? The weakness of the extreme demon is that it is absolutely impossible for ordinary spiritual weapons to pass through it. But how did he know that although Zufeng's tower has not yet become an immortal weapon, it is essentially made of immortal materials? Just like the Chaos Sword. He cannot exert the power of the fairy sword, but he has the power of the fairy sword. GMO was in extremely severe pain and wanted to get away, but unexpectedly at this moment, Zhu Feng shouted angrily in a low voice. Devouring the magic power. Boom. There was a loud noise, and a wave of demonic energy surged up from the sky. The ultimate black, as deep as the void. The thick black light pillar completely engulfed the two of them, and even hit the blood moon magic weapon in the sky. Boom. 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 The ground shook. No, it should be said that it collapsed. GMO used the spiritual roots and spiritual power of countless monks to reshape his body, and all the demonic energy contained in it was released at this moment. He wanted to escape. Unfortunately, it's too late. At least 10% of the extremely demonic energy was swallowed up by Zhu Feng. And the remaining 90% hit the blood moon magic weapon. The collision of huge forces will eventually cause the world to collapse. The blood moon magic weapon had previously consumed a lot of blood moon power, and after suffering such a heavy blow, it actually began to collapse, directly causing the collapse of the laws of this world. But in itself, this is just a secret realm. Compared with the world, the laws are not perfect at all. The impact of the two forces, which were only slightly weaker than Tiandao, finally made the few unobvious cracks become thicker. Brother, go quickly. Zhu Feng was devouring it crazily, and the huge demonic energy was also impacting his body. He used his remaining consciousness to tell Zhu Yun to leave here quickly. No one knows better than him what he will suffer. Master, even though you told me not to seek death. But eldest brother and I have no choice. I can only give this life back to eldest brother. Sorry to disappoint you. Zhu Feng let go of his mind and let the demonic energy continue to corrode himself. Only in this way can he guarantee that he can completely drain the demon. But this will also make him completely unconscious. No, I won't leave. I said I will save your life. Zhu Yun shook his head firmly and his eyes fell on Jimo's arms. Chaos Force, rise. Original Power, rise. The Power of Faith, rise. Zhu Yun roared, and suddenly, 3 colors of power burst out from his body. The power intertwined and reciprocated, forming a huge shield on his body, completely blocking out the evil energy. At this moment, Zhu Yun rushed over and reached out to take out the fragment from Jimo's arms. The golden avatar has been destroyed, and the fragment looks like an ownerless thing, but originally, the golden avatar refined the fragment, which means he refined the fragment. Get everyone in. Zhu Yun bit his fingertips, and the precious blood and essence rushed out as if it was free of charge. Forcibly admitting people into it was extremely exhausting, and Zhu Yun's mind was in a state of shock. The golden light passed by, but an incredible scene appeared. Zhu Feng, GMO, and the blood moon in the sky all entered this fragment. Boom! The ground suddenly stopped shaking, and Zhu Yun collapsed to the ground. Before he passed out, he saw the sky layer by layer, and the endless void produced endless suction, sucking the fragment into it. It was as if there was a shooting star on the ground, flying towards the sky, until it disappeared. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1369. The scorching sunshine scorched the earth, and Zhu Yun slowly woke up. Beside him is a magnificent river, full of yellow sand. Broken immortal river. Zhu Yun sat up suddenly and looked at the scene in disbelief. The air is full of spiritual energy. Looking up, the sky is filled with green powder. There is no doubt that he found himself in Qingping Fairy Kingdom again. It's strange, why did I return to Qingping Immortal Kingdom? Where is the secret realm of immortal ascension? Zhu Yun stood up and recalled the last scene he saw before he fell into coma, feeling a little incredible. But when I thought about it carefully, I felt relieved again. Lin Yu should have arrived at Qingping Fairy Kingdom through the power of the Blood Moon. It is said that the secret realm of Xianxia was originally created by an immortal on Qingping Star. It is normal for him to have some connection with Qingping Fairy Kingdom. Zhu Yun figured out the direction for a while and decided to go to the Imperial City to have a look. It's not for the teleportation array. He doesn't have fairy crystals on his body, so it's impossible to activate the teleportation array to return to the mortal world. It's just that Xiao Lu is still there with a group of monsters. When he is found, we will see if he can command the group of beasts. Go to the Kunlun Canyon and find the passage to the Jidan sect. At the same time, Immortal Light Sect. The Immortal Emperor's face looked ugly, including several people in front of him. Among these people were Ergu holding a magic knife, Ji Tianqing who looked nervous, and two incarnations of Zhu Yun. The secret realm of Xianxia completely collapsed. It caused a huge shock in the spiritual world. Even though they were far away from the secret realm of ascension, they still felt it. Just now, the Immortal Emperor took out the tortoise shell and used the few pseudo-immortal powers in his body to calculate Zhu Yun. However, due to the lack of pseudo-immortal power, he could not figure out where Zhu Yun was. Ji Tianqing is not strong enough, let alone Zhu Yun himself. From what I see, it's better to go to Tianweishan to search. If the Ascension secret realm is damaged, people will not directly have problems, so there are two possibilities. As the oldest person present, the Immortal Emperor naturally expressed his opinion. Which two? Ergu asked anxiously. The first type. The Immortal Emperor couldn't help but glance at the magic knife in his hand, and then said, the secret realm collapsed, and Zhu Yun appeared somewhere in the sky. The second type is that Zhu Yun is directly sucked away by the turbulent flow of the void. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. The fire incarnation glanced at the water incarnation and said, indeed, we didn't feel the breath of the original body. If it was really sucked into the void, I'm afraid it would be really troublesome. The water incarnation also nodded and said, without the true body, our two incarnations are limited even if we practice. Now we can't integrate into one at all. This situation is not good. Ergu stood up with a gloomy face and said, the only solution now is to go to Tianweitian to try our luck. Ergu, stay here and don't go anywhere. The fire incarnation immediately stopped and said, you are not strong enough. How big is the sky outside the sky? Moreover, such a shock will definitely alarm some evil cultivators. If you are not strong enough, you will die if you go. Ergu smiled bitterly, rubbed his head, and said, but what can I do here in Xianguang sect? Everyone fell silent. The water incarnation stood up, looked at the Immortal Emperor, and said, do you think it is possible that he went to the Qingping Immortal Kingdom? After all, the Xianxian secret realm can reach the Qingping Immortal Kingdom. Since the Demon Moon sect can pass through the Xianxian if you go to the Qingping Fairyland in the Immortal secret realm, is it possible for you to go to the real body? Ji Tianqing was extremely excited and said, it's possible, it's definitely possible. You know, I was brought out by people from the Jidan sect when I appeared in the spirit world. Water Transformation said, I also followed a young monk from Jidan sect to Jidan sect, and I also know the way to get to Qingping Fairy Kingdom from Jidan sect. That's great, the Immortal Emperor was immediately overjoyed and said, this way, I don't have to take a detour. He originally wanted to go back to the Qingping Fairyland, but he needed to return to the mortal world, then go to the barren stone mountain to get some fairy crystals, and finally go to the misty mountain forest to teleport back again through the formation. But he couldn't control the flying boat. If no one helped him, it would take an extremely long time. Then when will we set off? Fire Avatar stood up and said directly, just in case, I can stay here. There are many casual cultivators in Xianguang sect, and because of the secret realm of ascension, it has caused some panic. During this period, many casual cultivators who came out of the immortal secret realm joined the Immortal Light sect out of admiration. Especially those monks who had seen Zuyun. How about I go take a look too? Fairy Xianxia remained silent, and even spoke to these people in a vague manner. I have never heard of the Qingping Immortal Kingdom. But she felt that if she could find Zuyun's true form, she might have a chance. Although Zuyun is only in the stage of becoming a god. But she saw with her own eyes the power of faith in the secret realm of ascension. Moreover, the huge statue in Xianguang sect is also helping Zuyun gather the power of faith. You should stay here, Huo Jianying said calmly. You are currently at the highest level in the Immortal Light section. If an evil cultivator comes, you may be the only one to compete. Fairy Xianxia thought for a moment and agreed. Following him to Qingping Fairy Kingdom to find Zuyun was just the icing on the cake. But staying in the Xianguang sect to deal with powerful enemies might be considered a timely help. At least, Zuyun's fire incarnation can see everything he does. That's fine. The crowd discussed for a while, and finally the Immortal Emperor, the water incarnation and Ji Tianqing went. The date was set for tomorrow. Before that, they needed the fire incarnation to refine the elixir. The breath-resisting pill. This kind of elixir can go directly from the Jiden sect to the Qingping Immortal Kingdom. Wait until I find the magic knife, Sword Immortal, oh Sword Immortal. By then, your broken body will not be my opponent even if you have the Chaos Sword. A figure flew out from the heaven beyond heaven. She was in a mess, and there was a little blood on her clothes. It was Nujiao. That day, she forcibly used the innate magic essence in her body, tore open the Ascension secret realm at the cost of her realm, and finally escaped. But the fall of her realm forced her to rest again. Until this moment, she flew out of the heaven beyond heaven. In the outer world, there is a lot of panic. The previous movement not only attracted some evil cultivators, but also demon cultivators. If we continue to stay inside, it will be even more dangerous. It is better to find a sect outside and sneak in first. Nu Jiao has been walking in the spirit world for a while. Although she has not completely integrated into this world, she is at least familiar with it. She has a certain understanding of the cultural habits of the spirit world. And the sect closest to the outer world is the Five Elements sect. She couldn't fly for long before she felt the spiritual power in her body was exhausted, so she had to land. Who are you? This is the territory of the Five Elements section. Outsiders are not allowed to trespass. A foundation building cultivator looked at Nu Jiao with a gleam in his eyes and was very vigilant. Dao, Nu Jiao pretended to be weak and said, I was just injured by the changes in Tianwei. I want to find a place to recuperate. I don't have spiritual stones or elixirs, so I am willing to exchange important information for it. Nu Jiao performed some charms without moving her body. Her spiritual power now did not allow her to perform at full strength. Although she did not charm the gatekeeper, she also dispelled his doubts. Looking at Nu Jiao, who looked a little pitiful and had little spiritual power, the foundation building cultivator said, then wait a moment, and report it later. He called a fellow disciple, and flew towards the back mountain. Report, Sect Master, there is a female foundation building cultivator in the outside world who is seriously injured and wants to enter the sect to heal her injuries. She said she has important news about Tianwei. Hearing this, Tu Duyu raised his head from the first seat. Let her in. Without thinking too much, Tu Duyu agreed directly. The Ascension secret realm was opened, and Xianxia took away all the cultivators above the Jindan stage. Tu Duyu took the opportunity to control the back mountain and took the position of the sect master. He was scheming and passionate. He was supported by many ordinary disciples. After those high-level cultivators left, the number of these ordinary cultivators was very large. Sect master, that woman. The foundation building cultivator who reported the news was still a little hesitant. Tu Duyu shook his head and said with a deep look, the reputation of the Five Elements sect is too bad. If we want to reverse the situation, we should start from now. In addition, what other major events in the Tianyi are there besides the Ascension Secret Realm? So, we need to know as much as possible about the situation in the Ascension Secret Realm. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1370. Not long after, Nujiao appeared in front of Tu Duduo. Looking at such a beautiful female cultivator, Tu Duduo also lost his mind for a moment. Fairy, is there any important news from Tianyi? Tu Duduo has a very good character, and his realm at this time is higher than that of Nujiao, so it is naturally impossible for him to be deceived. At the same time, he proclaimed himself the leader of the Five Elements sect, and he had to walk upright and sit upright to avoid being gossiped about by some people who were secretly dissatisfied. Zuyun had given him such a good start. If it was destroyed by his own hands, he would be ashamed of his master. The secret realm of Xianxia is destroyed, and there may never be one again. Nujiao's words were shocking. She originally wanted to break the news with this and make her mind become confused during the pill formation period. Unexpectedly, this was exactly what Tu Duduo wanted. Talk about worry. There is nothing better than the fact that the great masters of the Five Elements sect can come back. At that time, he should run away and go to Xianguang sect. Fortunately, Nujiao brought him good news. In this way, all those arrangements will be useless. What the fairy said was that the previous shock that came from the outer sky was the destruction of the ascended immortal secret realm. Tu Duduo feigned panic and stood up suddenly. Yes, Nujiao said seriously, the little girl escaped from the shock. In addition, many demon cultivators, and evil cultivators living in seclusion in the mountains were awakened. At this time, outside the world god, I'm afraid there's going to be chaos. That's why the little girl doesn't dare to look for a place to heal alone, and wants to seek the protection of your sect. Tu Duduo pondered for a moment and said, Thank you, Fairy, for bringing such news to our section. Someone, please take Fairy to the guest room to rest. By the way, Fairy, our sect is not good at refining elixirs, so we don't have too many elixirs. Only ordinary primary pills can be provided. He remembered what his disciple Zuji had told him before, and the other party also wanted the healing elixir. Nujiao smiled bitterly and said, Thank you so much, sect master. The little girl is only in the foundation building stage. It is better to have elementary elixirs than nothing. The Five Elements sect didn't do much elixir refining, and ordinary elixirs were purchased from the Jiden sect. As for the most important 5 spiritual pills, they were refined by the alchemist from the Jiden sect in the deserted valley. But now, all the alchemists are gone, and elixirs are immediately in short supply. Fortunately, when Zuyun left, he took Tu Duduo as his disciple and taught him the method of alchemy. Some elementary elixirs can be refined by Tu Duduo through the underground fire veins. As for itself, the Five Elements sect also refines ordinary 5 spiritual pills and has many elixirs. If there is any excess, you can use local materials. This is also the reason why his prestige skyrocketed and he became the leader. After Nujiao left, Tu Duduo sat down again, summoned a confidant, and whispered, Recently, pay more attention to the direction of Tianwei. If anyone comes, as long as they are foundation-building monks, they can be invited to the sect for healing. Can provide certain elixirs. Sect master, the one who spoke was also an alchemy stager. He was originally an ordinary deacon of the inner sect, although he and Tu Duduo both practiced the 5 elements of Chaos Sutra and were at the same level. But with Tu Duduo's guidance from Zuyun, the Wollongan monks at the same level would not be Tu Duduo's opponent at all. After directly killing a few thornheads, these people were all convinced. With too many people, will there be chaos in our sect? Chaos. Tu Duduo smiled slightly and said, there are more people than our Five Elements sect? Which sect do you think can compare? The destruction of the Immortal platform destroyed at least 30% of the monks in the spiritual world. And if the ascending Immortal secret realm is destroyed, it will lose at least 30%. The key is that these monks are at least above nascent soul. Tu Duduo didn't dare to say how strong he was, but after thinking about it carefully, he still felt so confident. Perhaps, the Five Elements sect will become the most powerful sect in the spiritual world again. But if you want to be the leader in the spiritual world and reverse your previous reputation, you still need a lot of things to do. He didn't want the Five Elements sect to become the original Five Elements sect when Zuyun came back to find him. Sect Master, I understand. At this stage of pill formation, he suddenly understood, slightly cupped his hands, and went out to convey the order. After doing all this, Tu Duduo went deep into the back mountain. The back mountain is still a forbidden area. But it was deserted. He just took a shortcut and went directly to the cave connected to the valley to make elixirs. I've been very busy lately. Tu Duduo rubbed his head, feeling nervous and excited. A few days later, a flying boat passed by in the sky. Immortal Emperor, Xiaoji, I want to go down and take a look first. When Shuawawa saw the Five Elements sect, he suddenly remembered something and decided to go down and take a look at Tu Duduo. How long? The Immortal Emperor would not refuse directly, but asked. If I don't watch it this time, I don't know if I will have a chance next time. He didn't know that Xianxia was dead, so he planned to find Tu Duduo to see how he was doing. If possible, taking him to Qingping Fairy Country may also exercise his state of mind. As soon as possible. The closer we get to Tianyi, the more I feel something is wrong. Although the Immortal Emperor did not tell fortunes, his intuition was still quite good. I know, just wait. The water incarnation smiled slightly, and the flying boat slowly landed at the door of the Five Elements sect. Feeling the huge aura of spiritual power, the face of the foundation building disciple guarding the gate couldn't help but change. The sect leader had given an order a few days ago, asking them to pay attention to people coming from the direction of Tianwei, but they did not expect that a senior who could not even feel the realm coming from the opposite direction came from him. I've met senior, no. I don't know what senior is doing here. This disciple's first reaction was that the monks from the spiritual world took advantage of the collapse of the Ascension secret realm to seek revenge. After all, the reputation of Five Elements sect was really bad before. I'm here to find someone, Shuawawa said with a faint smile. Do you know that it's too much to apply? Looking for the sect leader. The gatekeeper disciple screamed in surprise. Most people don't know the name of his sect leader. Tu Duduo grew up in the Five Elements sect and never left home. How could anyone outside know his name? Compared to the gatekeeper disciple, Water Avatar was even more surprised. Good guy, Tu Duduo was just allowed to become an elder of the outer sect Dang Dang before, but in the end he went directly to the inner sect and became an elder? This apprentice is pretty good. Then, is your sect leader here? A smile appeared on Shuajia's face, and at the same time he changed his plan in his heart. Since he can become the sect master, there is no need to follow him to see the world, right? The sect leader went into seclusion a few days ago. The gatekeeper disciple was smart and did not respond directly, but said tactfully, he didn't say when he would be released from seclusion. The water incarnation laughed and said, no problem, just take me to his retreat. They all practiced the Five Elements Chaos Sutra, and the water incarnation knew that he could awaken Tu Duduo without any influence. Just take a look at his level of cultivation, then take a few more questions, and finally leave with peace of mind. He actually has a feeling that the collapse of the ascending immortal secret realm is inseparable from the original body. Perhaps, all those people from the Five Elements sect are dead, including Xianxia. Otherwise, How come Tu Duduo is still sitting safely as the sect leader after all these days? This. Although the water incarnation has not given any pressure, its own realm has brought great pressure to the gatekeeper disciples. Under pressure, he had no choice but to bow his head and give in, saying, "Then please ask Senior to come with me." Mu transformed into a flying boat and took the immortal emperors Ji Tianqing into the Five Elements sect. After a long time, they appeared in the back mountain. Along the way, he met countless foundation-building monks, who were so shocked that his expressions changed. The water incarnation smiled all the way and whispered something to the immortal emperor. I can still laugh out loud from time to time. When he learned that the new sect master here was a disciple of Zhu Yunqiao, the immortal emperor gave his opinion. Zhu Yun, if possible, you can imitate the Xianguang sect and set up a statue here. Then, your disciples will make it their daily duty for all disciples to pay homage. From what I see, since the spiritual roots of these people, and the cultivation techniques are the same as yours, maybe it can allow you to gather more powerful power of faith. The water incarnation had some thoughts, but he decided not to do it for the time being. He would not do this until he was completely sure that Xianxia and others were dead. Faith is powerful. But there is no guarantee that no one will come to take it away. Soon, they arrived at the sect master's hall, but there was no one here. The sect master may have gone to retreat in the back mountain. The gatekeeper disciple whispered, and the water incarnation's heart moved, and he knew where Tu Duduo was.